From Venture X Studios, it's JP, Kathy, and the crew.
And the crew. I don't know why I like to do the echo. I don't know what's up on that. So somebody help me out with that. Somebody's going to say it's too much caffeine, which it very well.
Dr. Bateman could help you out.
Yeah,
probably.
yeah. I know this. Yeah, we can get Dr. Ken Bateman from back in the day and get him to help me out on why does Kathy feel the need to echo? I don't know.
Retro announcer.
Well, welcome to the week with JP, Kathy, and the crew. We are very excited to have you with us. Today, of course, as every Monday, we have our medical correspondent, Dr. Norm Clothier, with us, and he's going to be talking about latest, COVID shots, Pfizer's. I believe theirs has been approved now, and just any updates on the variants, any tips and tricks to keep you and your loved ones healthy. So we appreciate Dr. Clothier. And then after that, we are going to do a tribute and actually read the names of our fallen soldiers who we lost in Afghanistan and bring up their pictures, and Dr. Clothier, I know you've been following all this, and I look at the faces of these young, I mean, I want to say babies because my goodness, they're, I could be their mom and I could be their older mom, let's say that, and they just look so young. And you're talking somebody who's 20, who just started. I noticed somebody had posted a picture that had gone viral. One of the soldiers, obviously, but before the attack broke out, had taken a selfie, sweetest picture. He's in his fatigues,
Right.
And he had sent his mom a text and said, "Doing good, Mom. I love you," or something like that. And my goodness, I just, and you're a dad, Dr. Clothier, can't even imagine this.
Oh, I can't either. It's so heartbreaking. It really is.
Really
and they
is.
were extremely young and, just bright futures ahead. And I just think it's so tragic. And, it's just senseless the way the whole circumstances.
It is. It just seems so unnecessary. I don't know if you watch those coffins being loaded and coming home draped with the flags, and I just thought, my goodness, these are children that we brought back who paid the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom, and so God bless them. But we're going to be doing a tribute to them the second part of the show. But Dr. Norm Clothier, medical expert, if you've got any questions or anything, if we put them in our feeds, if we can't get to them today, we'll make sure we get them answered next week. The crew always has great questions for Dr. Clothier. So let's talk about, I guess let's start off with Pfizer. So what's the latest, and who's on first there?
Right. That there was an emergency, kind of a compassionate approval of vaccines going back to December 14th of 2020 under the Trump administration. It was, the Pfizer vaccine was the one that was first approved, followed about 3 weeks later by Moderna. But it was approved late last year as a compassionate move to help limit the spread of COVID.
Right.
And so, I had a lot of people who told me, I will get the shot when it's approved by the FDA because I love FDA approval. But I won't get it until it's approved if it's just experimental. Well, it really wasn't experimental. It was really emergency release.
Right.
And I think that got confused a lot. And the research, of course, goes back to 2003, which, is a couple of decades worth of research. So, though that gave people, the opportunity to delay getting the shot because they just, love FDA approval. It's kind of interesting. A lot of people who said they wanted to wait on FDA approval don't like, for me, prescribed medicines to them because they don't like the FDA. They like supplements. And, I found that a little bit ironic. And, of course, I could find a little irony in everything or a little bit of sarcasm in most anything. But it's just odd to me the number of people who won't take blood pressure medicine, cholesterol medicine, whatever, because they want something natural, and then they wanted FDA approval on Pfizer. So that came a week ago today, fully approved by the FDA.
Okay.
And so, for those who have been waiting for that, it's time to get the shot. And,
Gotcha.
It's the same shot. I will point out it has the same safety. It has the same preventive capabilities. And, and again, what that is, and I just want to emphasize to people, and I think I need to talk about masking yet again, because I think people have a grave misunderstanding of the thought of a mask. But what the shot is for is to prevent severity of disease, hospitalization, and death. And if you get the shot, the numbers have shown already dramatically decreased hospitalization rates, dramatically decreased death rates, and dramatically decreased severity rates in terms of somebody being, debilitated for weeks and weeks and weeks. And, I know that some people really like to quote me a really low death number on infections, percentage-wise, and, they tend to say 0.003%. I'm not sure where that number came from, because that's not accurate. It's actually somewhere in the realm of about 1 to 1.8%. And that doesn't sound like many until you realize that millions and millions of Americans and people worldwide have been infected. So that gets you up into high numbers. And, for people who say it's just a cold or it's like the flu, well, we don't particularly have a death rate from the cold, because people get sick about 3 days and they recover. And with the flu, it is true that most years there's somewhere around 20,000 deaths. So far in America, we're at 31 times that many. So if you took, for each one person that died of the flu in 2019, for instance, line up 31 with them and declare them to be dead from viral illness, I think that's a noticeable number. So if we can dramatically decrease that with the vaccine, I think that's worthwhile.
Well,
and, that's been my view all along.
Absolutely. And it has been, you've been consistent on that. First of all, one of the things that kind of sticks out when you talk about numbers, again, make sure you're getting your numbers from a credible source. Something on the on social media is not necessarily, this is breaking news, Dr. Clothier.
Yeah.
If it's on social media, it might not be true. I don't know.
Well,
what is this? What is this we're speaking about?
That. Yeah.
Yes, I Googled that. Right. I found that on the interwebs.
Yeah. Here's the challenge. And I understand that almost everybody that talks to me, who talks against the vaccine or doesn't believe the virus is actually here or that it's worldwide, that they, are sure it's only political in America. I know they're all experts. I realize that they've got, doubtless proof. People who love ivermectin and who love hydroxychloroquine as treatments that are not shown to be true. And that's coming out, more and more in the news all the time, is that ivermectin can cause death. It can cause a lot of complicating issues. And an anti-parasitic for animals just doesn't seem to treat a human virus. It's, I don't find that surprising, but a lot of people are sure of it.
Right.
And the challenge I find is what I read is medical information. I read medical journals. I read, analyses of the data. I speak to people who treat people, and we talk together about it. And, I think that personally, and, my view is that if you have a trained medical professional, that's probably better than your neighbor who's not, unless your neighbor's a trained medical professional. But I would really encourage people, and I've had so many people that, quote, have fired me because I haven't fallen into, prescribing ivermectin or any of the unproven treatments. We've tried to deal with this in a logical and reasonable way for a virus that we've been learning about for 20 months now.
Right. And that's such a short amount of time. I'm always glad when you bring up the limited amount of time that we have information and we know things. And I look at this a couple of ways. First of all, this has been on the radar for just literally a blip, just a split second. So you're right. There's a lot of unknowns. And then I think what happens, Dr. Clothier, and then I've got a couple of questions that are coming in, but I think because this is so, it's an emotional issue, and we do want to ask, and I know, Dr. Clothier, you and I were communicating yesterday, and you're already praying, but JP, who's traveling back from Arizona today with his dad, JP, his cousin, who is in his late 30s, Michael Payton, is in the hospital with COVID and pneumonia, was in an ICU situation. Medicine seems to be working, and he is improving, so that's good. So we want to ask the crew to please pray for Michael Payton, JP's cousin, who is only in his late 30s. I say that because I think that this is an emotional thing. At this point, most all of us, we've either known one person or several people who have had it. Most of us, and unfortunately, I'm in that category, know somebody who has passed away from this. So we know the reality. I think because of the mask going on with it, the potential of forced vaccines, all these different things that are swirling out there. Dr. Clothier, I think this is just, and I think the fear that, am I going to get it? I went, like myself, I went to 2 political events, one on Saturday, one on Sunday. Well, I was around folks. I spoke at one of the events. I was the MC, so I did not have a mask on. So I'm sitting here. You get kind of emotional whenever you go, where normally we would go out and be around folks and wouldn't think twice about it. Now you're like, okay, hope everybody I hugged was okay. And I think it becomes very emotional. And when you become emotional, it's hard to just separate medical facts out.
It is. We should stick with the medical issues. And it should not have become political, because politicalization made it more emotional. And, I can tell you, I don't think, I'm not there, but I don't think in Brazil and India, for instance, where they've had, many more deaths, although statistically not, because there aren't good death and birth and death records. But the word is, in India, there are 400,000 officially deceased from COVID. But the real number is felt to be about 5 million people. And that's, again, there aren't great birth records in some villages. There aren't real, recordings of deaths when you're overwhelmed. But, it's very devastating. So it is emotional. But, just what you brought up, what I wanted to make sure I mention on masking, too, is masking is all about preventing spread to other people. It's about protecting others. If you have a mask on or not, you're not changing your own rate of infection risk. If you wear a mask, you are protecting your aunt who's on chemotherapy, or the visitor to your rally who is, diabetic and prone to disease, or in autoimmune medicine that suppresses their immunity, or you're protecting the 30-year-old who thinks they're perfectly healthy and they get devastated by COVID, because we're seeing a lot more young people like JP's cousin, and I'm glad to hear he's turning the corner, because I think that's
but we're all saying keep on praying, on praying.
Yeah, no 30-year-old wants to be intubated in ICU, just like no 60-year-old and no 90-year-old and no 4-year-old.
Right.
The virus really doesn't care about your prior life or your tendency to be healthy, or you don't usually get the flu, so you won't get COVID. That's not true. That would be very much like driving on tires. They're wearing thinner and thinner and saying, I never have a blowout, I'll be fine. You've got to do something to pay attention to your risk.
Right.
And protecting other people is a huge part of that. And, I know people get more angry about masking than probably anything else, and I don't get that. To me, that's all about protecting somebody else. It's just like after I see somebody, I wash my hands. I'm not going to, these crazy people expect me to wash my hands.
I wish everybody had been washing their hands all along. I'm still traumatized over how many people go to the restroom and at a restaurant, or just go to the restroom in general and don't wash their hands. Didn't your mom teach you to wash your hands all the time?
Absolutely. And I think the whole idea of the mask, though inconvenient and though mentioned by some people who are officials in governmental positions, just like red light, they are there to protect people from smashing into each other, whether that's cars or viral particles. And, you can protect people by just being smart about things and being inconvenienced a bit. And I think I just am shocked still that there are people that claim. I just saw an article or a letter to the editor in the morning news yesterday that said, we appreciate that some groups are saying you can't require masking because we shouldn't have people rebreathing their own carbon dioxide.
Right.
That is so proven that that's not true. And if that were true, then for years, your person who's a surgeon or a scrub nurse or an operating room tech who's been taking out your gallbladder has been theoretically killing themselves breathing their own carbon dioxide, because we use masks in medicine to prevent infection. That's why people in an operating room have a mask on. It's to prevent them from spreading particles into you with a wound and while you're sedated in the operating room. There's nothing really that crazy about that. That's a normal response to reducing infection. And, I just can't believe how angry people get about that. I'm relatively shocked to know my front desk people have been
it's so
assaulted.
Emotional. And I'm sure that,
Yeah.
And that's one of the things, even, now I expect when I go into any kind of a medical facility or doctor's office, which, my mom's had a couple of surgeries recently, and we're dealing with some health issues. So I don't even think twice about it. I just assume that in a doctor's office, heck, maybe having the mask will prevent you from getting something else. As a matter of fact, Randy Smith on our feed said, "I still don't understand why a mask doesn't protect me from getting COVID." So maybe that's something we can talk about next week, because does it protect you from getting the flu or the common cold? And then Gail was asking about, we had on Friday, we had on the show a dear friend of mine in JP's who is a big health and wellness expert for pets and humans, and had talked about peptides. And so I know I'm going to be trying that, because peptides are supposed to help beef up your immune system. They get in and work on the cellular level. Do you know anything about peptides, or is that something you could look up and talk to us about?
I also know what else. Yes. And there's not really time to get into all the ideas
Right.
behind that, but I'll just mention, if you, for some reason, you're isolated somewhere and you can't get peptides, you can get better nutrition and you can get exercise and you can get, just healthy living.
Right.
And I think that makes a great difference. I often find, with products that come and go over time, and I'm not necessarily saying peptides will be the next one to come and go, but think about all the products you've heard of through the years that have come and gone. They were going to, make people live longer, less infection, less risk of cancer, anti-aging. Let's think about the reality there is that just good old healthy living makes a huge difference.
And that being proactive, proactive is, and you talk about this all the time, you practice what you preach. You walk every day, it's one of those things, just even some slight changes in your daily routine can help you be healthier to fight anything, cancer, diabetes, anything. Yeah.
Yeah, in so many ways.
Yeah.
So the answer on the masking is that, to Randy, is really a relatively simple one, too, is that the proof of not spreading particles out of your mouth, that if you can reduce them by 95%, you reduce the spread of a virus in the air considerably when you're breathing out. The challenge is when you're breathing in, we have less current evidence on being able to say that reduces infection risk. And the reason is probably that ultimately, if you're around somebody with an infection and no mask, they are breathing out so many viral particles that no mask is 100% sealed against the face. I mean, if you had a rebreather, which is like, firemen use going into a fire so they don't get smoke, that would work. But you'd still get viral particles in, like, for instance, at the eye and around the mask, whereas when you breathe out, you're going to block those particles from flying through the air as far a distance and getting to someone else to infect them.
Okay.
So since viral particles can come in through the eye also, that's the main reason that a mask doesn't prevent you from getting infected so far based on the data, so much as it prevents you from infecting someone else.
Gotcha. Well, and again, just, be careful while you're out there, be smart while you're out there, plan ahead, plan ahead, keep yourself, take those vitamins, stay hydrated. I'm Dr. Clothier, direct quote, stay hydrated, stay hydrated, stay hydrated, especially when we get into these heat index with triple digits and things of that nature. Just be smart as you move about and just think ahead. And then, gosh, Dr. Clothier, what I would love to see, and this is a whole nother topic for a whole nother day, but just people, don't be cruel to people because of their personal choices. And I think we see too much of that negativity, and this is one of those things. And as a doctor, all of that negativity and anger, and if you stay in that mode, which I don't know about you, Dr. Clothier, I've got friends who are literally perpetually living in an anger mode. That can't be good for your health either.
It's not. It's interesting that actually one of the benefits of exercise is stress relief.
Right.
And if you kind of burn off your frustration while you walk or ride a bike or use your elliptical, it's remarkably more healthy for the individual. And, I would suggest to just think about what that anger and frustration has done to benefit you. Have you changed the society? Have you gotten rid of the virus?
I know.
Have you limited death and infection? Have you made more friends? Have you, been in encouragement to someone? Have you helped, people in their time of need by being angry with them? Probably the answer on all of those is not really.
Yeah.
And I think, if you can focus on being helpful, understanding, if you're just flat out frustrated, keep yourself, to yourself. Keep quiet about it. Because, no amount of somebody coming into my front office area and griping about a mask has changed the fact that we may have immunocompromised people here that we don't want to have get infected and die. That's just how it is. And, their anger and their snippy comments and their, aren't you guys stupid? You don't realize that, these masks are just government control. I just don't find that to be a beneficial thing to deal with. And I think it's amazing how much better off people could be, and being reasonable about getting, the vaccine too. It's just, hospital personnel or people working in any kind of role in hospital are now mostly required to get most systems. And we've always been required to get shots. We have to have a tetanus shot up to date. We have to have flu shots, which I'm fine with because they all prevent disease. But, there's nothing odd about being required to have a COVID shot. We have to have proof of immunity to measles, mumps, rubella, and to hepatitis B. And, all those things are normal.
Right.
And I think it has gotten out of proportion.
Well, and I tell you, if what is it? I know my mom taught me this, and I'm assuming just knowing you over the years, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. It's not our place to pass judgment. If I always stop and say, okay, I'm going to pray for this person. God bless them. They've obviously just kind of lost their mind about this, and they're having a hard time dealing with it. And I understand being passionate, but bullying each other online, I think we've got to at some point just say, hey, we're adults. We've got to learn to live with this.
Yeah.
We've got to figure this out. We've got to work together. There are going to be people who never agree on the mask issue one way or the other, who never agree on the shot and vaccine issue one way or the other. Can't we all just get along? Is that asking too much?
That's right. So, as Jesus encouraged us in the Sermon on the Mount to pray for our enemies. And,
Yes.
if you do perceive somebody to be your enemy and you pray for them, pretty soon they're not your enemy. They're the person you're concerned for.
I love that.
And I think, it's amazing what a difference that can make. So that would be
love that.
a fantastic thing. And hopefully we can have most of us survive the virus, because hopefully we can get a handle on this pretty soon. But
Amen.
it's a new issue. It's a challenge that we just haven't had enough experience confronting to all be experts. I think is a little outrageous. And remember too that those those comments made online, whatever, the bullying online, those are perpetual, and you may want to wonder what your viewpoint might be in a year or two or a month or in a week if you get sick. And it's kind of temperate, I think, would be a fair thing to do.
Right. Well, we appreciate you. What a great message, to start off the week. As far as pray for your enemies. You're right. That's what Jesus did, and and it's one of those things. Again, I think
Well,
when you put more positive out there, when you're praying for people, even if you don't agree with them, instead of cussing them online, I think I think that's a lot better of a life choice. But
oh, it's amazing how it'll change your perspective about that person and their soul.
Hence the
Very
reason
true.
you are such a calm, cool, and collected doctor, Dr. Clothier.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're
I'm blessed.
welcome. You are blessed, and we are blessed to have you on our show every week. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Stay safe and healthy, and we'll see you next.
Thank
We'll see you
you.
week after next. I think we've got.
Well, yeah,
Is it
we
Labor
got
Day already?
Labor Day in between.
Whew.
Isn't it hard to believe September's after August this year?
Yeah. Isn't that weird
It's
how
just-
that happened again?
Yeah, it's just, you just got to watch that calendar. Do
All
enjoy and be
right.
safe.
Have a great one. Thanks, Dr. Clothier. Okay, so we are going to, first of all, I want to say again, thank you to Dr. Clothier. We appreciate his information, or his expertise and the information he gives out. And, and he does this in a very non-judgmental way. If you need a doctor, he's got, he's part of a great practice, just good folks. As a matter of fact, he is JP's doctor and JP's dad's doctor. So there we go. That's a great testament. But Ann Guzman is out of Facebook jail. Woohoo! I was wondering where you were. So she's out of Facebook jail. So welcome back. We're so happy to have her back. Let's go ahead. We've got a couple of serious things to tackle today. Just thought it was very appropriate. First of all, we want to talk a little bit and ask everybody to pray for those in Louisiana. One person has died and more than 1 million people have been left without power as Hurricane Ida, one of the most powerful storms ever to hit the U.S. I mean, they're saying that this storm might go down as more powerful than the storm in Galveston back in the day. So just devastation across the state of Louisiana. I know we've got a number of friends and members of the crew out there just praying for y'all. We're asking the crew to join JP and I and pray for anybody and everybody who is impacted by this storm. Just so scary. Hurricane Ida made landfall late on Sunday morning at Port Fourgeon. Fourgeon, I think is how you say it, exactly 16 years since Hurricane Katrina, the catastrophic hurricane that killed more than 1,800 on the Gulf Coast in 2005. The hurricane hit Louisiana as a Category 4 storm, lashing the coast, and this is just unbelievable, with 150-mile-an-hour per winds and torrential downpours. And it has just been weakened to a tropical storm. It has been, the administration has declared the event as a major disaster and ordered federal aid to help with recovery efforts. So we're glad that that's happening. The full extent of the damage remains unclear. Overnight, residents were told to evacuate from Alliance, south of New Orleans, after a levee failure was reported. Another levee failure occurred in the Lafayette and Jean Lafayette areas, where residents were urged immediately to seek higher ground. Elsewhere, some remained trapped in attics in Laplace, which suffered severe flooding. Some hospitals have suffered damage to their buildings just as they were dealing with the impact of the fourth wave of COVID. The energy company, Entergy, earlier confirmed power has been cut off across the entirety of New Orleans. This morning, the center of Ida is expected to move further inland over southeastern Louisiana and then move on to southwestern Mississippi. So we're praying for anyone who's been in the path, who is about to be in the path of this storm. And this is one of those things, if you've got a mayor, a governor, whoever it is, a county judge, somebody coming on and saying, leave, evacuate, go to higher ground, listen, and be proactive. Things can be replaced. People can't. And you hear of people who are like, oh, I've ridden out a bunch of hurricanes, and then you hear of the tragedy of them not making it or getting swept away in the storm. So just please, if the crew will join us in praying, just Yeah, and Gail mentioned this is supposed to be worse than Katrina, which have heard that. And then will Louisiana governor be blamed for the power outage from the weather? Interesting. And you know there will be political fallout from this storm. There always is. But right now, I think with everything going on, just pray for the people who are in need. If you know someone in that area, reach out to them, make sure they're okay, let them know that they've got friends in Texas praying for them. We also want to acknowledge that Ed Asner, just one of my favorite actors from back in the day. I was a huge Mary Tyler Moore show fan, and Ed Asner passed away. Oh, I love that. And Coach Quigley said, in the famous words of Ed Asner, "You've got the spunk, Kathy." He used to say that to Mary on the Mary Tyler Moore show. So I just love that. Yeah. So God bless Ed Asner. Thank you for all of the wonderful, wonderful entertainment moments, and may you rest in peace. Just delightful and gosh, long time star of TV. Let's. What we're going to do is we're going to, and I've. Bear with me. This may be kind of hard to get through. And I've seen several of the crew's posts over the last few days. These soldiers, these heroes who we lost in Afghanistan, in my humble opinion, unnecessarily. I think this tragic loss of life could have been avoided. I know Sunday morning, I watched the flag-draped coffins, being loaded into trucks from the airplane, and you look and you see the pictures of these young people. And as somebody mentioned on our feed, I want to say, I want to make sure I give credit to the right person. I think it may have been Andrew who said that the average age of, yes, it was Andrew White, who's from Kilroy's Conversation. He said the average age of the soldiers killed last week was 23. Just really, really hard, a tough pill to swallow. So I was with a good friend of mine this weekend who used to live here in Plano, came back in from Houston, Dorinda Randall, who a number of you know, and just love Dorinda dearly. She had said, she said, somebody needs to, and I've seen it done. I know it's been done a number of places, and I love all the pictures of people with the 13 cups of beer. There was a soldier, Joe Driver had posted on his, Joe Driver of the Garland area had posted on his Facebook page. There was a soldier that was in a really busy intersection this weekend, like when people were on their way to church, who was fully dressed, holding an American flag with 13 little flags in front of him. Just did that on his own. I think it's so amazing, the people who are remembering these people and who are doing right by honoring them. So we are going to show a picture of those we lost, of our fallen heroes. And I am going to try my very best to read their names and their ages. And just, if you'll just join me and pray for their families. My goodness, God bless their parents. God bless their families, their friends. I know one of the gentlemen was just weeks away from having a baby. Just really want to ask you to honor and pray for these brave men and women that we lost. So, Brett, if you'll put the picture up there, and then I'm going to wipe back some tears and then read these names for you. All right, and thank y'all so much for doing this with us. Thank you so much, Brett. You're so sweet. Okay. Staff Sergeant Darren T. Hoover, 31, a U.S. Marine from Utah. Sergeant Johanny Rosa Pichardo, 25, United States Marine from Massachusetts. Sergeant Nicole L.G., 23, U.S. Marine from California. She was one of the Marines that was assigned to help hold and calm the infants during these attacks. Corporal Hunter Lopez, 22, U.S. Marine from California. Both of his parents worked for the Riverside County Sheriff's Department, by the way. Corporal Dagan W. Page, 23, U.S. Marine from Nebraska. Corporal Umberto A. Sanchez, 22, U.S. Marine from Indiana. Lance Corporal David L. Espinoza, 20, U.S. Marine from Texas. Lance Corporal Jared Schmitz, 20, U.S. Marine from Missouri. Lance Corporal Riley J. McCollum, 20, U.S. Marine from Wyoming. Lance Corporal Dylan R. Marola, 20, U.S. Marine from California. Lance Corporal Kareem Nikoe, 20, U.S. Marine from California. Navy Hospital Corpsman Max Soviak, 22, Navy Corpsman from Ohio. Staff Sergeant Ryan Kaus, I apologize if I'm pronouncing any of these names incorrectly, 23, U.S. Army soldier from Tennessee. Grandfather said he was a very motivated young man who loved his country. And I think that's the, did I get all of the names, Brett? I think if somebody please let me know if I've left somebody out. I'm having a hard time seeing those names. Just give me a second. Let's leave these pictures up here, Brett, for just a minute, and everybody give a moment of silence to these heroes. All right, thank you, Brett. Thank you to the crew for allowing us to honor these fallen soldiers. I know many members of the crew are either servicemen or women themselves, or they have a spouse or family member who has served, and it's just so young and so much life left to live, but. God bless them that they died serving our country. They paid the ultimate sacrifice, and we just pray for them, pray for their families. There was one, and it's gone viral, a picture that really got to me. Young man who had sent his mom a selfie. He was in his fatigues, and he said, do something like "doing all right, love you, mom," or just some real simple, sweet message like that. And as a mom, I can't even imagine. But I'm just praying that everybody will join together and pray for the families, pray for the friends, pray for our country. So anyway, so thank you for letting me do that, and just love the crew. You guys are so good. Y'all are such patriots, and I'm just very fortunate to know y'all. So moving on, we've got the State Fair of Texas coming up, and I know there's been a lot of confusion out there as far as, well, first of all, we've got 25 days, 1 hour, 41 minutes, and 5 seconds until the State Fair of Texas opens up. Now, here are the COVID updates, because I and a number of folks who I saw over the weekend, everybody kind of had a different take on what was legitimately, like, people are like, oh no, you have to have a vaccine and you have to show proof, or you have to wear a mask, or you have to social distance. I don't know how you most of you have been to the great State Fair of Texas. If you have not, it's amazing. Go get Fletcher's corny dogs right away. It's okay to eat them for breakfast when you're at the State Fair. It doesn't count as bad nutrition. But I wanted to just read what we've pulled off bigtext.com. So I'm assuming this is the best and most recent updates. So 30 days until opening day. All guidelines are subject to change based on updated circumstances. So since that's at the very beginning, I'm assuming that means if things get worse, they can make other decisions, but just, again, be prepared. So Big Tex needs every fairgoer to do their part, and most of all, be respectful of others and do the right thing. The current health situation makes for a challenged backdrop for the 135-year State Fair of Texas tradition, which is true. Of course, we would love for everyone to attend the State Fair this year and continue the great family traditions that make the event special to so many. However, we understand that some will be hesitant. We ask that those who attend do so because they are willing to follow our health guidelines, not because it's mandated, but because it's the right thing to do. So basically, they're saying be nice. So during these times, we acknowledge that no event can be completely risk-free, and we're counting on you to do your part to help us present as safe of an event as we can by following the guidelines. Again, these are not mandates; these are guidelines. They're saying they would prefer if people are vaccinated. They said if you're fully vaccinated, thank you. If you're not, they're saying there's still time to get vaccinated. So I know they're encouraging that. Make informed decisions about attending the fair before you visit. Make sure you've considered your personal health situation. And again, this is not JP, Kathy, and the crew telling you this. This is what I'm reading off the State Fair of Texas, off their website. Consider your personal health situation and your family's personal health situation. And again, that's something we talk about on a regular basis. Just be smart about it. If you've got a 90-year-old grandparent that lives with you at home that has compromised lungs, that has any type of compromising health issues, you might not want to go to the State Fair. Or if you do, you may want to strip down, get in the shower, take care of business before you get back in to see them. So just be smart about that. So this says, wear a face covering. It says mask protect everyone. Plan to bring a mask for you and everyone in your party. Wear a mask in the following settings if you are older than 2 and medically able to wear one. So here's where they're saying, and again, reading this off bigtext.com, this is where they're saying they want you to wear a mask. Indoors for both vaccinated and unvaccinated people. As of August 25th, given the current situation with the increased COVID cases in Dallas County, they are requiring you to wear that in a public space. They are saying outdoors, wear one if it's in a crowded setting, especially if you're unvaccinated. At some independent vendor booths, they may require everyone in the booth to wear a mask. So I would imagine those are the places. Oh, and who in the crew is one of those that always gets something from the Great State Fair of Texas that you bring home and you use maybe once. Okay. We have to get the copper sheets. We have to get the fancy massager. Now, I will say CJ had his eye on a set of cooking knives when he was really little. And so years later, we were like, okay, Emily, we always let the kids pick out one thing for them to buy and we pay for it. And so, Emily, what do you want? CJ wanted the cooking knives. I will say we did use those. But they may, just be prepared just in case you go into a vendor's booth and they say, hey, you have to have a mask. That's where you can make the choice to either still attend or not. They're saying wear a face covering if you're taking Dart to the fair. And now here's the one, they said social distance. Please spread out when you can and wear a mask if you can't. They said we've created some space in some high traffic areas and they're adding more outdoor seating. Oh, I like that. They're adding more outdoor seating. So if one area of the fair is too busy, you can explore a new place. They're saying use hand sanitizer or wash your hands frequently, which you should be doing the hand washing, especially at the State Fair of Texas, any kind of event like that anyways. Stay home if you're not feeling well. Most of all, please respect your fellow fairgoers. So it sounds to me like these are all suggestions. And again, they've got a big undertaking. They're trying to keep people safe. And so we do understand that that is not an easy task, by any means. So just if you're headed to the state fair, just be smart about it. And again, it's one of those things. Some people may choose not to go because of their personal choices. I'm gonna go back to I haven't heard that they're doing this at American Airlines Center because I've got another concert I'm going to on Wednesday night. Can anybody figure out what that is? But anyways, a dear friend of mine's in town, and so going with him and my daughter and her boyfriend, and cannot wait. But I haven't heard of any mandates there. I guess I need to look that up since it's Monday and the concert's Wednesday. But I know when I went with my girlfriend Stacy Weaver to Maroon 5 week before last, you either had to show that you were vaccinated, and this was a choice that Maroon 5 made, and this was out at it's not Starplex. What is it? Dos Equis now? It's been a bajillion things. The outdoor music venue at Fair Park. I think it's Dos Equis now. Anyways, so you either had to show a vaccine, and again, this was the choice of the band, and it was Maroon 5, and they were phenomenal, just phenomenal. And then, or you could show that you had a negative COVID test. So I went literally hours before the concert, got a negative COVID test. It was so funny because the nurse who handed me my results, she's like, okay, you're negative. She's like, oh, you're so lucky you get to go see Maroon 5. And she goes, if you meet him, meaning the lead singer of Maroon 5, Adam Levine, she goes, if you meet him, tell him Anita loves him. And she was so serious about it. And I was like, boy, I would love to meet him, and that will be the first thing I say to him. So anyways, I thought that was a great way to handle things. I'm wondering if because there's so many people who come into the fair, and it's not just for one specific evening like a concert is, I wonder if they're unable to require that kind of a thing. So I think just be smart. I know we've got plans to go out to the fair this year. So, just take care of yourself, take care of your loved ones, and be smart and be safe. And don't judge that. Oh, Doug Shockey, yep, Guns N' Roses, they rock. And it's so funny because my friend who I'm going with, and then a number of friends of mine who have recently seen Guns N' Roses, they said Guns N' Roses now, in 2021, or a couple of my friends saw them like in 2019 and 2018, they said their show is way better than it was back in the day, like in the 90s, because Guns N' Roses, they're not all partying anymore. So they said it's like an amazing show. So I can't wait. So very good. Of course, Doug figured that out. He's a fellow rocker, so there you go. Anyways, thank y'all so much. We're to finish out the show, we're not gonna play any music. We're just gonna put a picture of our fallen soldiers back up. Again, just pray for those families. Just please cover them in prayer. Please cover JP's family, his cousin, Michael Payton in prayer. Like I said, it looks like he's turned a corner and the medication is working. So we pray that his health trend continues to go back towards being normal and COVID free and healthy as all get out. Because I think that's the fear when you get COVID. If you start getting things like pneumonia with it, that's when it gets really scary. So just continued prayers there. Thank y'all so much for being with us for a special episode to honor our fallen soldiers. God bless them. God bless America. And God, please help us because we need you now more than ever. And Brett, if you'll put out that picture and we're going to go out without any music. Thank y'all so much. Love y'all. Have a blessed week and we'll see you soon.